stop on our journey along the timeline of eternity will be at the time of the development of our solar system. The creation story as written in the Bible is for planet Earth. The Bible does not take into account any pre-existence to life on the Earth plane. There was life on other planets for the divine sparks before they showered on Earth. They had been on 3 previous planets and evolved through the processes on them. There has never been any breakthrough about this before. It is now time that these facts become known. It is necessary at this point in evolution. Compare it to schooling. A student must reach a certain level before certain subjects can be understood by him. We are finally ready to understand and need to be able to understand the complicated universe. The oversoul of our solar system is named Michael. He has brothers and sisters. Michael's capacity for love is endless, unlimited. It is almost inexpressible in human language, as it is a feeling combining all virtues that must go into the making of a perfected being: compassion, kindness, intelligence, truth, impersonality, diplomacy, and freedom. Michael knows everything about the creation of the heavens and the planets, those stars forming into planets now, and those planets no longer enriched with life forms. The term life form does not always include human beings. The life lived on the first 3 planets was not of the kind that can even be conceived of by humanity, but they did have an evolutionary plan like planet Earth has. The first one is simply air, that's all, just the atmosphere itself. But this is the start of life in our solar system. Ions and neutrons that make up air, electrically charged air that eventually starts forming into thoughts and ideas. To help with the understanding of the beginning of humanity's spiritual evolution, we should study as an analogy the pollination process as carried on by insects in the botanical kingdom. It is the same exact process. In the beginning of the universe there was vast emptiness, a void, nothing but black space. A comet from another universe passed through this empty black space close enough to the first planet to start the process of life on it. Until then, this planet had been in what is termed suspended animation. This was the very beginning of humanity's spiritual evolution. There is a spark of energy from that comet from another galaxy, a thought form from the comet's galaxy that was part of the energy that washed planet number 1, Orion. When this comet got close enough that the energy waves from it washed ashore onto planet number 1, these little tiny thought forms of air formed. It grew to be quite a large thinking mass of air. We will call this solar flare demonia. This was the birth of Lucifer's mind, which you will soon see becomes the mind of all humanity when it shatters. It grew to the point where it could not be contained on planet number 1 any longer and proceeded to planet number 2, Jupiter. Here it developed into small ringlets of atoms that make up storms, wind, and rain. This first flare, demonia, then continued this way through all the planets and went back into the body of Michael. Michael the Creator did not get much satisfaction out of that stage of experimentation. Michael then sent out another solar flare from Lucifer our sun. The name of this flare was Harmonia. It caused separation into groups of harmonious thought forms. This flare also went first to planet number 1, experienced the same thing demonia had, and passed on to planet number 2, Placida. This was a little more advanced world. Here the little ringlets of atoms enjoyed themselves and had fun. Harmonia then left planet number 2, moved through the rest of the planets, and returned to Michael. Neither of these flares shattered into separated divine sparks. They experienced all as whole beings, whole flares. Michael sent out the third solar flare, Satania. From the first flare, demonia, he learned to make thought forms. On the second planet, he had Harmonia, the second flare, set the pattern into definite musical groupings of harmony. By the time Satania, the third flare, got to Placida, the little storm started growing bigger and more agitated. It finally just left planet number 2 in one huge cloud of energy and went to planet number 3, which was Mars. The cloud was still in a gaseous form, but soon developed into a thinking bolt of lightning, an electrical line of energy. Planet number 3, Mars, was causing much more friction than had been anticipated. The storms never did abate, and they finally started sending lightning bolts shooting off from themselves. Michael didn't expect the conditions on this third little world, and he hurriedly built a fourth world so he could aim these lightning bolts at it. Michael watched fascinated as some of the strangest looking creatures began to develop on this fourth world, planet Earth. They were fascinating, and he watched as they grew larger and took many different forms and shapes. He wanted so badly to join them, to go down there and play with them. As the bolts of lightning kept getting larger and larger, one huge storm, the biggest on the whole planet number 3, formed into a lightning bolt very strong and determined to explore further as to what was out there. He gathered all his energy, took a huge breath, and exhaled, sending a very large lightning bolt over to planet 4, Earth. It was coming at a tremendous speed. Earth, beautiful verdant Earth, that green jewel. And what's been going on planet Earth? The same thing that was going on planet number 3. Each of these planets remained the same as the previous planet until the thought forms were ready to leave. Planet number 1 was air. When the thought form left planet number 1, it remained basically air, even though it was separated into groupings on planet number 2. When it left number 2, it was like graduation. It was not second plane dimension until it left number 2. When it went from 2 to 3, it remained as second dimension until it worked its way up through the processes on number 3. And when it did, it graduated and left there as third dimensional consciousness. And when it landed on planet number 4, it remained third dimensional consciousness. You see, until we get through the life plan of this Earth, we remain third dimensional consciousness until we graduate into fourth dimensional consciousness. There is an ethereal form around these planets, which is where the true dimension of each planet is found. It's like a little cap up above it. We are on the fourth planet, but most of humanity is still of third dimensional consciousness, which is, remember, fighting, friction, hollering, hitting each other, murdering each other. All of that is still going on. Demonia gave us the word demon, Harmonia gave us the word harmony, and Satania gave us the word Satan. The next flare to come is named Persephonia and will give us the word perish. It is the cause of the vibrational disturbances felt at this time. The first flare was of a positive nature, male energy. The second flare was negative, female energy. And the third flare was again positive. The new flare is negative or female energy. Remember, please, that these are the names of flares which are atmospheric disturbances. This flare will be stronger even than the third flare was and will cause much upheaval and death on planet Earth. But another meaning of Persephonia is personification of revival of nature in spring. When scientists realize the importance that atmosphere has on behavior, they will be amazed, and artificial environments will be initiated for humans to live in. The next flare after Persephonia will cause even more atmospheric disturbances, and by this time, the only way life will be able to continue on Earth will be in a protected environment.